Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 5, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 most improved Loomians in Loomian Legacy. So these are Loomians that were at one point really bad or not used correctly, but eventually became extremely good. And there are a lot of Loomians that could have made this list, so yeah, let's head right onto this list. Number 5 onto this list is actually going to be Dusk. When Dusk came out, it wasn't that good. I mean, at best, it was the second worst roamer in Loomian Legacy. We'll talk about the other roamer later on the list, but Dusk wasn't really that good. But that was until Dusk got Mean-Spirited buff, got Fade Away, and got Outburst. A bunch of new moves that can really make Dusk good. Not to mention it got Dark Surge eventually, and it also got Raging Flame. All these new moves actually makes Dusk pretty solid. It's not amazing, it isn't the best Loomian in the world, but there are now so many different ways you can actually run Dusk, and it actually can do some extreme work in battle. You can run a melee pivot set with Outburst to hit ancient types. You can run a Mean-Spirited set with Poison Barbs and Raging Flame. You can run a setup Piece of Mind user or a mixed user with Outburst. There's a lot of different ways you can actually run Dusk now, and it actually has some viable sets that can be used on certain teams. Like I said, the only reason it is number 5 and not higher is because there are a lot of other Loomians that are still better than it, and it's still definitely in the bottom 3 in terms of the roamers, but it has improved so much ever since it got released into the game, and that's why it made the list. Number 4 into this list will shock some people, because it's actually going to be Upsidergon. And some people might think Upsidergon should never be on the list, while some people think that it should be number 1, considering what it became. So, why is Upsidergon on the list at all? People tend to forget that before it had Body Crash, it was still very good, but it wasn't able to hit very hard. And that was until it got Body Crash. And even then, even when it got Body Crash, it went under the radar for 4 to 5 months because Tundralin was such a menace. Once people started to use Upsidergon correctly, and once Ice tournaments became a thing, that's when Upsidergon primed itself to becoming the best Loomian in the entire game. This isn't higher because, like I said, Upsidergon has always been good, but the fact that it improved from extremely good to the best Loomian in the entire game makes Upsidergon reach this list. It has improved. Even though it didn't need any improvement, it improved. And that's why it made the list. And not to mention that it actually needed to be nerfed in order for it to not be broken. And even then, even after the nerf, I still consider Upsidergon one of the best Loomians in the entire game. Just because Upsidergon can still soak hits with Beast Slumber, still has Body Crash, has Drudge, has Primal Slash and Body Crash, which is perfect coverage. Upsidergon is still definitely one of the best Loomians in the game, and with the Resilience nerf, while the Resilience nerf is nice, it is still extremely powerful, and that's why it's number 4 on the list. Number 3 on the list might be one of the most improved Loomians in the game, and it's Icy Goal. Icy Goal was absolute trash when this thing came out, but it got so many new moves that absolutely makes it insane now. Has Fade Away for pivot, has Ice Hammer to do insane damage, has all of the elemental chomp moves for coverage, which is awesome. Had some new abilities and a new secret ability being added, and it also has Baffle and Rejuvenate. This thing has literally been given the most moves out of any Loomian in the entire game. And it's insane because at the start of Icy Goal's existence, it had almost nothing. And it was considered one of the worst Loomians in the entire game. And now, it might be one of the top pivot users in the game besides Snack. And that's absolutely insane because everyone knows how insane Snack is. And even then, Icy Goal could be better, considering it does have Rejuvenate and Snack doesn't. I don't think it's quite as good as Snack, because Snack is tankier, but Icy Goal has a lot more options now, considering that it has Fade Away, Baffle, and a ton of different moves. And it still has Partying Gift, which can do some insane damage, and its defensive typing has helped it against a lot of the newer Loomians, like Barbadja, for example. And that's why Icy Goal is number 3 on the list. It has improved from one of the worst Loomians in the game into an actually really good pivot user. Probably top 3 pivot user in the entire game. And that's why Icy Goal made the top 3 on this list. Number 2 onto this list is going to be pretty obvious, and it's going to be Delugrix. Everyone knew what Delugrix was at the start. It didn't have much coverage, it didn't really hit too hard, and it's frail as heck. But after Atlantean City Part 2, it was given Thunderstrike and Jetstream. And that gave Delugrix some of the best coverage in the entire game. It already made Delugrix pretty good, but later, it eventually got Zip Zap, meaning that it could pivot out. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Earth types exist. They can swap into Zip Zap and it won't pivot. Well, Delugrix has Douse Stab that can hit all the Earth types. So, yeah, not really. You still can't really hit. You can't swap into a Zip Zap, which makes Delugrix insane. This might be the Loomian with the best coverage in the entire game, and with specialty boots, can actually be insanely useful with Zip Zap. It's a very insane Loomian. You can also run a mixed version with Clay Slap or Baneful Bash if you want, but I'd recommend all range moves with Pivot with Zip Zap because it just gives Delugrix so much offensive pressure. The fact that it was pretty bad before, and now it's one of the best offensive Loomians in the entire game, is a massive reason Delugrix is number 2 on this list. The most improved Loomian in the entire game is probably going to be a Kazune. Now, Kazune, before it got all its new moves and stats free change, I considered it as one of the worst roamers in Loomian Legacy, even worse than Dusk. But it had its stats changed, that it had 20 more speed, not to mention that it also got Zip Zap and Jolt. All of these new move options for Kazune completely changed the game. Not to mention that when Atlantean City came out, a new item called Specialty Boots came out, which made Kazune one of the best Specialty Boots users in the entire game. Not only Kazune is great as a Specialty Boots user, it's also insane as a Magnified Jolt user as well. So there are multiple ways you can run Kazune as well, either as a setup wall breaker or an extremely fast pivot user. And I know what you're thinking. Plant types. Plant types and Earth types can swap in on Kazune. Not really. It has Fire Breath Stab that can hit every plant type super effectively and can hit most Earth types super effectively because all the Earth types that swap into it are Himber, Tyrex, and Baneki. So that makes Kazune extremely amazing. It went from the worst roamer in the game to one of the best pivot users in the game. And that's why Kazune is the most improved Loomian in the entire game. And here it is, Kazune, the most improved Loomian in Loomian Legacy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there are some other extremely improved Loomians that were bad and eventually became really good, tell me in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!